Hello, and welcome back to Dottore And The Spy. Last time, we died. Yeah, we got ending 10, frozen by escaping and subsequently freezing to death because we were dumb. This time, we're here at the conversation with Dottore, and we aren't going to mess it up this time. Also, just so it's clear, I did burn the notes again, because that's going to make things a little easier to avoid that 3 ways to get ending I keep bringing up. We'll get to it one day, but I want to get at least one ending that doesn't stem from getting caught or found out as a spy. So we're just going to choose to start the conversation, because choosing all the options we didn't do before will keep us from capture a 3rd time. So yeah, we go over to him and yada yada yada. So I did good evening the last time. This is the bad option, but it's fine because we have basically a 2 out of 3. You keep silent. He stays silent as well. Nevertheless, he should have noticed your presence by now. Oh no. I didn't think this through. Oh god. I don't remember which one of these is good or bad. I didn't think that one through. Maybe it wasn't initially bad. Maybe that one's not initially bad, and like one of these ones is the bad or the good one. Oh, we're just gonna let the dice do it. We're gonna let the dice figure it out. Alright, we are gonna... Il Dottore doesn't move a muscle, yet you have the feeling that he is watching you with an attentive gaze under his mask. Okay, that was probably the good one. I'm going to have to go back and look at this thing again just to make sure, like, I know. Because I didn't remember that. Il Dottore? Finally, he turns his head and faces you. Correct, that's me. You can't see his eyes, but you still have the feeling that he seems to be staring at you. The other guests don't seem to notice you. Or perhaps they just don't dare to turn around and look at the Harbinger. My name is Kayal. Almost imperceptibly, Il Dottore tilts his head. Audacious. Excuse me? Audacious to address me in public and introduce yourself. Instinctively, you jerk back a step. The coldness in his voice sends a shiver down your spine. Then a grin spreads across his face. You are unusual. Almost interesting. After La Signora's passing, I was reassigned to serve under your command. Yeah, this line is where, you know, it kind of just, like, goes back into the main dialogue. So, I'm just gonna skip to the next part, because we've seen this enough times, so, yeah, who calls for me Pantalone? Nobody. And then, what might be the reason for someone like you to approach a Harbinger like me? So we chose this one last time, that was a bad one. We're gonna go with curiosity, because that's our good one. Curiosity. You nod slightly and smile in a polite way. People are talking about the Harbingers, especially about a very capable man with great knowledge about ruin guards and their technology. Oh, is that so? What are those rumors about exactly? Things I don't even dare to imagine. A small chuckle escapes Il Dottore's throat. He slightly bows and reaches his hand out to you. I would like to continue this conversation. May I ask for a dance? You take a moment to think. He does not seem suspicious about you and your disguise. Could it be pure interest? An unusual encounter? Is that what he has been looking for? It is an honor. It only took a couple of steps to reach the middle of the ballroom, which makes sense, we were literally in the room. But this plays out the same if you were to go the other, just watching him first. It would end up, like, coming back in here. Just so that you know, kind of like, okay, it's going to end up just doing the exact same thing. Your eyes are fully fixed on his lips as a slight smirk shows his satisfaction about you accepting his request. Like a rock in the water, you split the flowing current of the other dance couples as you hesitate. Your hand is resting in his. His touch is gentle, yet you realize he is trying to lure you. It's a game, and he knows how to take advantage of every single rule to win. You feel the fleeting glances of the other guests resting on you. Was it envy? Or perhaps pity. Almost as if in a trance, you let old Dottore pull you closer and feel him place his other hand on your back, barely noticeable. He knows the other guests are staring. He also knows that the other harbingers who are also present have noticed you. Then your dance begins. He leads, quite well in fact. It only takes a few moments for you to connect with him, and the two of you are striding through the ballroom in the same rhythm as the other pairs. As the music plays its stirring notes over and over, you become somewhat accustomed to his sudden closeness. A little unsettled, you quickly cast a sideways glance. People are still giving you a cursory stare. Worried? Of course they stare, thinking they are not being watched. After all, they know who I am, and so they wonder who you are even more, and why you are given the honor of this dance. Alright, let's see what we're gonna answer. I would like to know that as well. A simple assumption doesn't seem to be enough for you, huh? You want to know everything, don't you? Then you now know the reason for my own curiosity. An extraordinary mind is worthy of observance. Still, the uniqueness I initially believed could quickly turn into something not worthy of interest. You feel his grip on your hand tighten. An interesting encounter. That's all you are to him. Alright, let's see. I don't think this one matters. I think they both end up being the same. Either way. This is very convenient for my mission. Yeah, this one's the same. It doesn't matter. Both options would have done this. The music picks up speed. You adapt your steps effortlessly to the fast tempo. Il Dottore lapses into silence again, and for a moment the fixed smile he has on his lips during your conversation fades. Then, with a jerk, he pulls you a little closer to him, closing the gap between the two of you. Only now do you notice his scent. You can't compare it to anything you know, yet you do not perceive it as unpleasant. He is close. Very close. In a soft, gentle voice, he makes you an offer. Since you are now under my supervision, you don't really have the right to refuse, but I'm still interested in your honest opinion. The curious mind can be schooled. Consider this an invitation. An invitation? To what? Amused, he begins to chuckle. Your steps still follow the pattern of the dance. A curious mind like yours wouldn't turn down a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to gain unique knowledge, would you? Especially when no one, or let's say hardly anyone, besides myself is proficient in this domain. You don't have a choice. The play is coming to an end. The last chords ring out, the last steps are taken. Then the musicians fall silent and the dancing couples come to a standstill. You also pause. His grip on your hand loosens. Lowering his voice so that his words reach only your ears, he continues. You are free to spend the rest of the evening as you wish. Meanwhile, I will arrange everything necessary. When and where... Don't break your pretty mind over that. Leave everything to me. He bows his head slightly, which is supposed to be a sort of unobtrusive vow, and then turns on his heel. As soon as your hand separates from his, new couples of dancers stream into the center of the ball and of the hall. If I could read, that would be great. And rush between you and him. For a few seconds, you can follow him with your gaze, until finally you lose sight of him completely. In an instant, the place in which he stood seconds ago gets filled by other guests. Trying to make a way through the crowd, you accidentally stumble over some feet and mumble a hasty excuse. Suddenly, a hand grabs your arm and pulls you harshly backwards. Oh, hey, Kyle, where are you going? Oh, I missed you. I missed being able to talk to you. Because you obviously don't get this if you get caught. So I'm here like, oh, I don't get to see Tarja. Anyways, your eyes focus on Tarja's dress for a second, then wandering over to 4 other people close to her. As she notices you curiously eyeing her company, she starts to giggle happily. Oh, may I introduce you? She turns around, bubbling to her friend. This is my neighbor, Kayal, living in the room right next to mine. After the short but warm introduction, her friends decide to head over to another group of friends. You start to wonder if everyone here is on good terms with the others. Tarja stays with you, takes your hand, and pulls you to the edge of the crowd. I don't want to seem really curious, but I really need you to give me details. Huh? Details? About what? She giggles, moves closer to you, and points to the spot where you had been standing with Dottore minutes ago. Your dance with the second Harbinger Dottore! Excitedly, she squeezes your hand and giggles again. I still can't believe you have been granted that honor! I mean, Dottore himself offered a dance to you? I've already come across him several times, but he didn't even bother to talk to me. I wonder what's on his mind every time he just stands there and stares silently. Your gaze quickly scans the lively hall. Besides some of Tarja's friends and other low-rank members, you can't spot any of the Harbingers. Looking for him? She giggles and gives your shoulder a nudge. I'm sure all the 11 have gathered in a more quiet place. After all, they surely have a more important matters to discuss. And I know this because I've helped with the preparations. They will be served exquisite meals. A proud smile spreads across her lips as she points over to the buffet at the end of the hall. This is for all of us. Oh, have you tried some of the specialties from Snezhnaya? Again, she grabs your arm and pulls you through the crowd of dancing and chattering people. The delicious scent of freshly cooked ingredients, mixed and seasoned, reminds you of how hungry you actually are. Tarja makes you try almost everything, waiting for your reaction. As you two enjoy your meal, your gaze wanders through the hall again. For a moment, the lively feeling you have fades as you are reminded of the reason of your attendance. The gleeful chatters become distant, and you can't help but think back to the time you This sentence always messes me up. Anytime I read it, it messes me up. You can't help but think back to the time you were at Sumerev's marketplace. Everything is so different now. When exactly did things go wrong? You sigh, catching Tarja's attention. Yet she seems to misinterpret your facial expression. Full already? Come on, there's so much more to taste and test! Without hesitation, you let yourself get pulled along another time. As your culinary journey continues, Tarja tells you a lot about the other members present. It seems you are in luck, because the amount of information she gives you voluntarily is more than enough. Yet, your goal is Dottore himself. So you find yourself scanning the crowd multiple times, hoping to spot that turquoise hair again. To your disappointment, none of the Harbingers show up again, except Pulcinella, who actually seems to enjoy some small talk. As time passes, you can't help but notice the continuing stares of the other guests. Pondering if it's related to your dance or your new friend Tarja, you decide to focus on your food and the stuff Tarja tells! Oh my god. I swear I can words! The evening progresses rapidly, and you soon start to feel a slight tiredness cloud your mind. After some more chit-chat with Tarja, you decide to return to the inn. You don't want to let any information about your disguise slip by accident, considering how tired you are. On the way out, you have the feeling of being watched. Your thoughts are still circling around this unusual encounter with Dottore. In the notes, he had been described completely differently. Either his interests are genuine, or he knows what I'm up to. Alone, you make your way back to the inn. The thing is, he could be watching us, for all we know. Because, as we know from just watching, there was more than one of his segments there. So we could have been watching us leave just now. So maybe it's a good thing we leave now, as opposed to accidentally slipping up and accidentally revealing that we are not actually part of the Fatui. The cold winter winds blow snow in your face, so you arrive at the inn freezing and shivering. It's eerily quiet here. Of course, most if not all are at this celebration. Without further encounter, you ascend the inn stairs and reach your room. Swiftly, you open the door with a clinking key, step inside, and find a letter lying at your feet behind the door. Curious, you pick it up and open it. So you can actually read this? Even if the handwriting's a little messy. It reads, "A carriage will await you outside at sunrise. Do not be late. The driver will not wait." I can't remember if I had to ask what some of this says, because I could not for the life of me make out some of it. But I did sit here and try to figure it out back in the day. Because I'm like, I can read this. Inside, you find a handwritten note with a time and a note that you will be picked up at that time tomorrow morning. Fleetingly, you catch Dottore scent, which barely noticeably clings to the paper in your hands. Lost in thought, you finally go to bed. You put the piece of paper under your pillow. The next day! You wake up a few hours later. A glance at the clock tells you that the time of the scheduled encounter is near. Hastily, you get ready, gather your things, and notice that you feel queasy at the thought of the invitation. Lost in thought, you leave your room, turn in your key, and leave the inn with your belongings. Outside, the wind whistles icily through the small village. There is still no one to be seen. Protected from the wind and the view, you seek shelter behind one of the houses. You're still plagued by this strange feeling. Before long, you hear a carriage approaching. It stops in the middle of the village square and waits there. For you. But something seems strange about this carriage. The vehicle seems cold, almost mechanical. You are still hidden from the eyes of the carriage driver. As yet, no one knows where you are. There's still a chance to escape. Back home. But would they let you back inside the academia? Definitely not. Okay, so I'm going to save it regardless, because from here on out, there's probably going to be like a lot of endings I want to potentially go back here or whatever. And we're going to see if we're going to just get an ending right now, or if we're going to actually enter the carriage and keep this going. Okay, we're going to enter the carriage and keep going. With almost trembling knees, you stumble towards the carriage. The driver takes a quick look at you, notices that your luggage is only the small pouch you are carrying on your back, and nods towards the door of the carriage. The metal of the handle feels icy cold under your palm. Do you think it's the right decision to get in? You take a deep breath, then pull the door open with a flourish and step inside. The door blows shut behind you with a small bang, then silence returns. The howling of the wind can no longer be heard. As soon as you sit down, the carriage starts moving. It rumbles, rattles, and clicks in an unusually mechanical way. Cautiously, you glance out the small windows. Noon is still a few hours away, and you begin to wonder when you will reach your destination. As if the driver has sensed your thoughts, he opens a small shutter at the front of the carriage for you to hear his words clearly. If you wish to take a break, please call. We will probably reach our destination late in the evening. A short pause follows before he continues hesitantly. It has come to my attention that one of the harbingers is awaiting your arrival there. Allow me to ask, who is it? This does not matter. You're going to get the same answer regardless. But we are apparently going to ask we're going to answer the second of 11. The driver hesitates. Then you feel the carriage picking up speed. We may even reach our destination in the early evening. Enjoy the ride. Yeah, I'd be terrified too if it was, oh, we need to get this person to Dottore of all people. The small shutter closes with a dull sound. Again, you are left to your own devices. While the snowy landscape passes by your window, you can't help but keep thinking about the reason behind your current situation. The sages. I was not even allowed to state my point of view. Even if I return with new knowledge, the academia will never be the same for me again. Except for the occasional rumble, the journey continues smoothly. The landscape outside becomes more and more desolate until the last houses have finally disappeared. Except for an endless, cold ice desert, there is nothing to discover. Pushed by the wind, countless snowflakes whiz past the carriage, limiting your view into the distance. At the thought of the driver having to sit outside alone in the cold, some pity flashes through your mind. You hardly realize that it is noon, as a thick layer of clouds hovers in the sky, soaking up every last ray of sunlight. The snowstorm increases rapidly, but eventually you believe to recognize a large outline on the gray horizon. Curious, you slide closer to the window. As the tip of your nose touches the cold glass, you instinctively flinch, but can't take your eyes off the ominous building in the distance. It's hard to tell if the carriage is actually traveling on a path. The ground is covered all over with snow, and even your tracks are covered again by the freshly falling snow. You're somewhere in the middle of nowhere. The closer you get to the outline on the horizon, the more clearly you recognize its exact shape. Almost palatial in appearance, the building sits enthroned in the middle of a small mountain. The walls are high, covered with frost and snow, and rise high into the sky. Strange, you think. The architectural style is similar to that of the building when the ball was held, but it seems far less inviting here. Your eyes scan the surrounding area again. For any lost soul, this palace would be a saving oasis in this icy wasteland. Finally, you pass a large stone entrance archway where 2 masked guards are posted. Their clothing is enough to identify them as Fatui. Once again, the carriage begins to rumble as the wheels finally hit stone ground again. You stop and you hear the footsteps of the driver, who opens the door for you obligingly this time. We have arrived.